Welcome back to the 2H Media live stream. Happy New Year. We're excited to be here. Got a great set of discussion topics lined up today. Usually we go through articles relating to either marketing or technology. In this case, we are kicking off the conversation by taking a look backwards at 2H Media's 2024 in retrospect. I'm going to go ahead and launch in and read off the stream doc to get us started. Now that we're into 2025, it seems like a good time to look back on everything that happened in 2024. It was a great year for 2H Media. We saw record success and connected with a ton of amazing businesses through the CDAP program. We also streamed consistently, releasing new clips weekly. Here are some of our most watched topics from 2024. What are the benefits of digital ads? Google pulls the plug on uBlock Origin, the importance of an SEO content strategy, Meta ads versus Google ads, and discussing dark patterns and the Adobe lawsuit. It's great to see that Christina's guest appearances were popular. Christina does a ton of SEO and advertising work with us, and we're sure we'll have her back on camera in 2025. First discussion questions. What were some of our favorite professional highlights from 2024?
I love how you added professional there.
Well, yeah, it was a good year all around.
It was a good year all around. We had a lot of fun. Professional? Oh, I think the back-end systems that we've put in place are the Airtable, CRM, leads, all that. We have some awesome systems now in place that allow us to do a lot more work faster, more consistently. That whole system started, finished, is fully operational, is awesome. I'd say that's probably one of my favorite tools now within the company is Airtable.
For sure. I think in terms of professional highlights, one of my favorites from 2024 was sponsoring the Taste of Guelph.
Oh, yes, that was a very fun event.
Yeah, it was a really good time. It was for a great cause.
Yeah, that was in the summer.
Yep.
They're an awesome organization.
Help raise some money for the hospital here in Guelph.
Yeah, I think it was like $300,000.
Yeah.
That was there. So I don't know how far that gets close to an MRI machine, but like, it was good.
Gotta help.
We saw a lot of clients there. Great food, great vendors, great organization all around.
Gave out a lot of great link cards.
Yes. So we had some promotional material. Yeah.
We sponsored the refresh station. So if you were enjoying this dressed up, food-focused event, and you got some of the aforementioned food on your outfit and needed to clean up, that station was sponsored by 2H Media. Lots of stuff there to take care of people, like Tide pens and
breath mints,
branded lint cards, so you could
all kinds of stuff.
Give yourself the quick brush off.
It was great weather.
Yep.
I know that in previous years when we've been sometimes a little cloudy, a little rainy, but this was beautiful. And they do a whole nice setup there, so it was like a nice summer day. Everyone was looking good.
Had some great colleagues and friends out there with us as well. Yeah. It was a really good time.
And we'll be back next year. Well, 2025, this year.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything else stand out to you?
That was obviously one of the big ones. The amazing work we did through CDAP was a real highlight of the year as well. We worked with some great businesses. We met a lot of businesses that were new to us. And we impacted them in some really positive ways. I know there were a lot of people doing sketchy things through the CDAP program, but we had a really good service offering that a lot of businesses got a ton of value out of. So in terms of overall operations of the company, I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of in 2024.
Cool.
It was also, I believe, our first full year streaming. We've been doing videos for a while, but this streaming was new to us in 2024, which actually ties into our second discussion question for this topic. How will the 2H Media stream be evolving in 2025?
Ooh.
The biggest change is we are changing our streaming dates around. So we are going to be streaming at the beginning of every month, the first Friday instead of the last Friday. The reason being, it didn't make a lot of sense doing it at the last Friday because by the time we edited and released that content on YouTube, for anyone catching the content after the fact, our January stream wouldn't be releasing until well into February. Well, if we do it at the beginning of the month, then our January content can release in January. So it just makes more sense from a workflow perspective.
Otherwise, we're always making other changes behind the scenes as well. More technology, new stuff. We're going to keep with the topics, the technology and marketing
Yep.
And the things that we know best and things that we like talking about, that's not going to change.
I'd love to find more opportunities this year to answer specific questions through the stream. Like if you look at our top performing videos, there's a couple of ones that were like news things that got a lot of attention, and our videos on them got a lot of attention. But what are the benefits of digital ads? The importance of an SEO content strategy, Meta ads versus Google ads. Those are all like very much more instructional focused. You're going to come away from this really learning something specific, knowing the answer to a specific question, rather than getting a more general opinion on some of the broader topics that we cover on the stream. If we can do more episodes focused like that, I think that would be
It'd be good.
great value add, and we might see some of the other watch numbers go up even more as well, which would be great. What's next for 2H Media in 2025?
Ooh.
We've got so many great irons in the fire.
How much do you want to tease?
I wouldn't go into too much detail. I think we can tell people we're doing some grant stuff. We're well known at this point for
Grants?
helping businesses capture some government money to help them achieve some of their goals.
There's going to be a product launch in 2025.
Yep, that's pretty exciting.
I can't say too much more than that, but that is...
But we can tell people it's through Sprint Point.
It's through Sprint Point.
Right?
Sprint Point products.
is branching into physical products, which is going to be very exciting.
Yes.
If you're building a business that's new or refining a business that's established, following Sprint Point on social media, making sure you're signed up to our newsletter through the website, that's a great way to be aware of everything that's coming out through that branch of our operations.
You're definitely going to be hearing a bit more about that as it's coming. Very cool partnerships coming up.
Yeah. Working with some really great people.
Yeah, we're working with some really great people. Again, we'll tease it. You're going to hear more about it. We're really excited about it.
Yeah.
Great people that we've got a long history working with, but now doing some things in a more formal manner.
I think some of it we can call out directly too. Like, so Talib Khan, we met
through
CDAP,
Yep.
and he was a great referral partner for us through CDAP.
Yep.
We worked really closely together, met some awesome clients in his network, and we're really ramping up to do some great work together again in 2025. Even though CDAP is no longer happening, the relationships we built through our networking around that program have led to some fantastic opportunities and some really cool people. And I'm excited to share more about what's happening with that as we get into 2025 and can speak publicly about some of the cool things we're doing.
Yeah, very cool things.
Some other great partnerships as well on the Shopify side of things. We've got some great stuff coming up.
Yeah, that is probably going to be the stream that we focus on in February. There's really some cool Shopify stuff. As you know, we've been working with them for many years now.
Yep.
We love their product. We love the fact that it's a Canadian company. There's lots of great things to say about them. You're going to be seeing a lot more of us on their channels as well as that goes through. Lots of cool things happening there. Lots of actual outbound marketing this year.
Yeah.
It's just cool.
We're gonna be busy.
More of our face. So I hope you like looking at our faces because you're going to see a lot of them. So yeah, we're excited. It's shaping up to be a really interesting year already. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, through and through. So
Is there anything else you want to share about 2H Media before we move on?
Anything else you want to share about 2H Media before I want to go on? Am I missing anything? Is it a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question. We can do the usual plugs. If you, if anything, if you're struggling in any of your business, from your operations to your marketing, and you need a second set of eyes on anything, you need some expert opinions. If you need some content created, I would encourage you to reach out to us. Book a strategy session with one of our experts. I'll do the full spiel at the end, but
yeah, it was a good wrap up to 2024. Black Friday, Cyber Monday went really well. Boxing Day, the holidays went really well. We were able to have some fun, see some family. Everything went really smoothly, and then a strong start to 2025.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been good.
All right, then. Do you want to read us into our next
I can
topic?
Can do.
Oh, you got to put that on the right monitor.
Hey, that's my desktop background.
Yeah.
There we go.
That is still not the right one. They're still looking at your desktop.
Oh man,
You just covered the stream.
That's right. He's a really cool toucan, though.
Yeah.
He's a really cool toucan.
So here's what we're going to do instead. I'm going to read us into the next topic. That's still not the right monitor.
Oh, is this still in the right? What monitor do you have it on?
I'm gonna read us into the next topic, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna open up your display properties in Windows.
Oh,
and you're
yes,
gonna look
because
for
we
the
have
monitor that is
sure
showing up in the stream, and you're gonna make sure it's duplicating one of your others.
we can do that.
So
We
in
can
the
do that.
meantime, I'll bring this back
Wait a
to
minute.
my screen.
Maybe they want to stare at the toucan.
They might.
Read us into the next stream.
But okay, next topic. Court strikes down U.S. net neutrality rules. A U.S. court has rejected the Biden administration's bid to restore net neutrality rules, finding that the federal government does not have the authority to regulate internet providers like utilities. It marks a major defeat for so-called open internet advocates, who have long fought for protections that would require internet providers such as AT&T to treat all legal content equally. Such rules were first introduced by the Federal Communications Commission under former Democratic President Barack Obama, but later repealed during Republican Donald Trump's first term. The decision, just as Trump is poised to enter the White House for a second term, likely puts an end to the long-running legal battle over the issue. In their decision, the judges noted that the different administrations have gone back and forth on the issue, but they said the court no longer had to give deference to the FCC's reading of the law, pointing to a recent Supreme Court decision, Chevron, I've added that limits the authority of federal agencies to interpret laws, a decision that critics expect will be used to weaken regulation in the years ahead. So our first topic is, what is net neutrality?
Ooh. I know that you follow this a lot more than me, so you're probably going to give a better answer. Hit him with it.
All right. So in essence, net neutrality is the idea that your internet service provider has to treat all content, as long as it's legal content, the same. They can't give preference to certain sources, which is good for you as the end user, because when you go online and you want to access something, you want to just very easily be able to access it. So the example I'll give is, when you install Google Chrome for the first time on a new computer, and you open up Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer, and Microsoft, when you type into Edge, the only purpose this browser exists, you type in download Google Chrome. And before you download Google Chrome, it gives you a little warning that says, hey, did you know that our browser is actually really awesome and good, and you don't need to download Google Chrome. Hey, please stay on the Microsoft one. That's because Microsoft owns that browser, and they are entitled to use that real estate to promote their own products and give preference to their services. Well, now imagine if your internet service provider had the same flexibility to give preference to their own products and their associates' products, and take preference away from their opponents' products by influencing the speed at which you can access the information through your internet connection.
Yeah, so this is wild. So,
Right, so
to the layman, the internet is fast. You type into your search, I want to go and find, some sales at your grocery store, and then, your search engine delivers those results in like 0.00001 second, and you see the deals of the day at your grocery store. Imagine now that the
owners of Bell Canada, who you get your internet through.
Yep, are able to modify even the speed at which you're able to search for something, saying, "Hey, well, we're going to delay the search. We're going to make it not a usable experience."
The speed is really what it refers to. Like, they can't adjust the content in the way that Microsoft can in the browser.
But they're just going to make it. They're going to provide preferential treatment to people that they want to.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
And so that could be that, hey, you're on Bell Internet and you want to research Rogers prices. Well, that Rogers website might load really slowly for you on your Bell Internet connection.
Yeah.
Because Bell wants to incentivize you not to go and switch to Rogers. And that's, in my mind, sort of the most obvious downside
that's what
to
you
the
can,
loss of net neutrality. Like, it's really obvious. It's really easy to see that.
You can see where that starts to slip.
But where that gets really scary is that internet service providers are owned by big corporations and really wealthy, influential people. And they could apply that to a lot of different areas that are not so nuts and bolts business focused, if a highly politically minded owner of a company wants to restrict your access to news, they might say, you know what, I don't agree with news sources on one side of the aisle, so we're going to, or the other, we're going to take those news sources and we are going to throttle connection speeds to those news sources so that people on our network are less likely to go and consume that content. Because
and
as the owner of this company, I don't agree with it, and I'm going to use my power because I don't have to be neutral in order to throttle those speeds and give you a horrible experience so that you're only going to read the news that I agree with.
And this is the examples that we're giving are just like blatantly obvious. There are going to be very, very intelligent individuals that find very creative ways to do things, to manipulate search.
Yeah.
What you can and what you are able to see and how far things will go and how things actually make it to the end user. It will become... there are just very creative individuals out there that will be able to extort influence because it is no longer neutral. And it's kind of crazy.
Yep.
Everyone there, I don't see I've never been, and personally I've never seen a good argument for why net neutrality isn't a good thing. Having the same equal access to information online
it's the same argument as anything else. Like people who are against net neutrality claim that it's government overreach. Right? And
yeah, it's
the free market will sort it out, and if you don't like the service you're getting from one internet service provider, you can switch to another. Whether that makes any sense, given the infrastructure involved, is a separate conversation.
It's just hard to see. It's hard to see. It's just like if I want to be able to research Rogers pricing and I'm a Bell customer, I should just be able to do that on the internet.
I use the examples of Rogers and Bell because we're talking to a Canadian audience, a Canadian company. It's worth noting this was an American court case. So
thank you. Yes.
Outside of the U.S., is this going to impact anything right away? Probably not in any major way. It sends a signal, I would say, to companies that are engaging in business on the internet that the tides are shifting in that direction. We might see other companies following the U.S.'s footsteps because they're a global leader. But like presently, as a Canadian business or a person who with a Canadian internet connection is probably not going to have a massive impact on you. But by the same token, if you're a Canadian company trying to sell into the U.S. and there are U.S. ISPs that are extremely protectionist and want to take business away from foreign markets, which is very topical right now with everything going on in the news, it would not be unreasonable to imagine those internet service providers throttling traffic from foreign sources.
And it's something that you wouldn't, as a business, be able to fight against. Like, you're fighting the infrastructure, and that's a losing battle. Yeah. So, your message will just not make it. So, we'll see.
For Canadians selling to Canadians, keep an eye on the news and, see if this evolves, see if this gains traction outside the U.S. For Canadians selling into the U.S., just be aware that if you start to see a traffic dip from U.S. sources, this could be part of it.
This is something that you really need to know your numbers going into this. So if you aren't using any analytics dashboards, if you're not focused on any SEO metrics, if you don't have KPIs, you will probably see a dip, and it will be very difficult to understand why, because nothing will have changed on your end. Yeah. It will be the infrastructure that has changed. So that's just a little tidbit. If you don't know your analytics, that's a whole separate problem, but you should understand where your traffic's coming from. You should understand where your customers are coming from, why they're purchasing, why they're not purchasing. And if one of the reasons is that they're not purchasing because they're not finding you in the first place, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
No,
I don't believe this will affect discoverability in the short term.
This is not a short-term thing because this is going to take some time
no, it is a short-term thing because the ISPs can make changes like that.
Oh, they right? can make them that fast.
So if your audience is in a market where the ISPs decide to start making these changes,
it will happen very quickly.
It will happen very quickly.
Yes.
In terms of search discoverability, though, the ISPs aren't impacting what shows up in Google.
Correct.
They're impacting how fast the sites can be accessed by the browser.
Yes. So yeah, you're still going to be. If you're still on page 1 of Google, this is not like a reduction of ranking.
Well, and this is what I'm saying. Long term, it might be though.
It might be because
it's going to impact your bounce rates.
A bounce rate will be impacted. There's going to be a bunch of things impacted at that level.
Right.
Yeah.
And that may send signals to Google that impact your SEO and
saying the website's not loading, failed to load. It's something.
Over the long
that
term,
starts getting hairy really quickly.
That will be slower but could totally start happening as sort of a carry on
Yeah.
to all of this.
Wild, because that is true. Yeah.
Net
Yeah.
neutrality, super important. It's a shame to see it starting to disappear.
Yeah.
I don't think we have too much more to share on that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to probably end up coming back to this because as we see things in the news, we're going to bring back, this is going to be an evolving topic over the 2025 probably. If you have questions about it, reach out. There's still a lot of unknowns in this one, but it's not looking good.
No.
Not looking good. So, cool. I can go to the next one, but we're just gonna keep it on yours.
Yeah.
Because then
I'll
then
read
it's
us in. YouTuber Legal Eagle is suing over PayPal's Honey extension. Devin Stone of the YouTube channel Legal Eagle is suing PayPal over the affiliate link practices of its Honey extension that were detailed by fellow YouTuber Megalag last month. He announced in a video published Friday. The proposed class action lawsuit was filed December 29th in California's Northern District Court by Stone's Eagle Team LLP and several other YouTubers' businesses. It accuses Honey of intentionally replacing creators' affiliate links with its own, even if it's not offering shoppers a benefit, depriving creators of money in the process. The complaint alleges that PayPal's practice violates California's unfair competition law and constitutes interference between creators and their business partners. The plaintiffs are seeking to represent anyone who was part of an affiliate program and had their link redirected to PayPal as a result of the Honey browser extension. Class action status has not yet been certified by a court, and this came from The Verge. First discussion question, what is an affiliate link?
Cool. Affiliate links are super popular. So I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably watch other content creators online. And sometimes they say, hey, use my link for sale 40 for a discount at checkout when you're buying like the sponsored product on my page. Cool. And by using that link, it's letting the company know where that sale came from, and the company that's selling the product and the influencer typically have some kind of arrangement where the influencer is getting a cut of the product sales because they're doing the advertising. So it's a tracking mechanism for content creators online to help businesses promote their products, and then for the companies to say, here's how much traffic you drove to the website, and here's how much revenue we can identify as coming from you, and there's some kind of benefit there. So typically it's a URL, or it can be a discount code at checkout. There's a whole bunch of different ways that they can do it, but the affiliate link that's it. It's a special link that is assigned to the affiliate person that is for tracking.
Yep.
Cool. So kind of complicated, but not really. It's just it's a code. It's a URL or a code. Cool. What Honey was doing, so what exactly was Honey alleged doing? So I used Honey for a long time. Honey was a really cool product. What it would do is when I'm buying something online, it would have a database of a whole bunch of potential product discount codes and things like that, and it would save you some money. So like, great, I'm shopping for a wooden spoon, and I find the wooden spoon company, and I go to checkout, and like the Honey browser extension would pop up saying like, hey, there's a code that you could use and you could save 5%. It's like, well, cool. Who doesn't want to save 5%? And ethically speaking, cool, I don't care. I'm still going to buy the spoon. Behind the scenes, there was some shenanigans going on which we'll get to. So yeah, it was a browser extension.
Allegedly.
So yeah, it was a browser extension that I was using on Google Chrome. I no longer have it, but yeah, I was using it on Google Chrome, and when I was purchasing something, it would prompt me with a discount for things that you could buy. So it was like a really cool idea. It worked. I saved a lot of money on it, and back then I really didn't think of anything more than that.
Yeah.
So cool.
But the question here is, did you save a lot of money on it? Or did it actually cost you money in certain cases where you would have gotten better deals through the codes that it was replacing?
Yeah, so in
your case, probably saved you money.
In my case...
Because I don't think you were using a lot of affiliate links to YouTubers or anything in the first place.
Yeah. So in my case, it's a little different. I wasn't like manually typing in a code and then having Honey automatically replace it. So that's fine. I'm a little bit unusual in that regard. When I need a wooden spoon, I go buy one. I don't. But that's not what everyone does. So some people, that's what we'll say, and this is all allegedly speaking. This is going to roll out through the courts. Allegedly, what was happening was Honey was replacing potentially someone's affiliate link automatically through the browser extension with their own.
Yeah.
So instead of the proper attribution going to the person who actually influenced the purchase, they were hijacking that code and saying, hey, it was actually us that gave them the referral. So give me the 3%
well, and in
thing
the process,
or whatever.
potentially giving you, as the person with the app installed,
A worse
deal than the
Yeah,
one you
I might
through
have-
the YouTuber's affiliate link.
Correct. I could have not only not paid the YouTuber I wanted to support using their link,
Yeah.
I would also, instead of getting 10% off, I might have only gotten 5% off.
Right.
So like a double whack.
So bad for creators, bad for consumers.
Bad for businesses as well, because if I'm a business and I've got a formal partnership with my affiliate Aaron, and I'm saying, wow, Aaron's killing it on YouTube. Wow, his videos are so good, and there's so much traction in the comments, and people love it. But every single time I work with him, I don't get a whole lot of traction on our site. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of pass-through business whenever Aaron's talking about our wooden spoons. Well, it might lead me to not working with Aaron anymore, and I'm going to move my dollars over to another content creator, even though Aaron is killing it, because the tracking mechanism is being hijacked, unbeknownst to Aaron, unbeknownst to me as the business. I have no idea, and that is obviously a huge problem, because now I'm now spending my time in marketing dollars completely not effectively. I should have kept with Aaron selling my wooden spoons in the first place. So like impact on businesses, it just completely destroys. It muddies the water where you're doing your marketing. It's like, hey, the whole point of the tracking codes and the affiliate links is to measure the impact of what we're doing, and now I can no longer measure it, and now we're playing guesswork with marketing, which is insane.
Yeah.
So
Not what we
impact
want at
is not good. It would have shown you some crazy metrics. Wow, look at this honey. We're getting tons of affiliate links from this other source. Wow, like, this is wild. But
And what's interesting about that too, I don't know what Honey's revenue model is, but I imagine if they have affiliate links, I imagine they're getting a kickback from stores.
yeah. So Honey's revenue model was a little bit different. You would get these things called like coins. So like when you made a purchase and used the Honey browser extension to do it, they would give you like a fake currency reward. So you've got like 1,000 coins, or based on the amount of the purchase, you could get like more or less, and then you could use those coins to do something. So they were giving you a benefit.
Sure.
But that wasn't part of the revenue model. That was just like an additional
because Honey was
benefit.
free for the end user.
Honey was free for the end user. You could download Honey out of the.
I imagine they were charging advertisers.
They were scraping
on the
data,
back
selling
end.
data, charging advertisers. They were definitely going to be getting a whole bunch of data, a whole bunch of. If you can,
Let me put it this way: what did Honey need the affiliate links for?
they needed it because they were taking a slice
That's
for the
my
money.
Whole,
Yeah,
that's my whole point, right?
Yeah.
They were probably charging the sellers on the back end,
yeah,
and using those affiliate links to show that they were effective.
yes. Meanwhile, they're actually not the ones creating any value at all. They are allegedly.
Allegedly.
I keep saying allegedly,
Yeah.
but that's what they're accused of being doing.
Can we touch on how this compares to the Canadian restrictions on linking to news sites? Because I
Oh.
think this is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And the issues don't tie into each other, but they touch on the same concept in a way that I think reinforces how absurd the Canadian news situation is.
hit me with it.
So, for those that don't remember when we discussed this topic before, there was a ruling in Canada that required companies linking to news sites to pay those news sites for the privilege of linking to their content.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Google or your Facebook or one of the big
Instagram. There's a whole bunch.
yeah,
of
if
them.
you're one of the big companies online that people access every day and are searching for information within, in Canada it was ruled that if you linked to a news site through one of those sites, you had to pay the news site a commission, which was always absurd. And the comparison that was made at the time was like, if you run a grocery store and you're in a town and someone new comes to town, a tourist walks in and they say to a local kid, hey, where do I get groceries? And the kid says, oh, I know the best grocery store in town, and they walk them down the street and take them to their grocery store and allow that customer to walk through your doors. You as the grocery store should now charge that kid for the privilege
For the word of mouth.
of directing that traffic to you. This was always absurd. And I think that this scenario really highlights that by taking it from the other direction, because what's happened here is, using the same comparison, you run a grocery store, and one of the neighborhood kids says, hey, I would love to direct a bunch of traffic into your store. I'm going to go stand near the bus station, and when tourists come into town, I'm going to say, hey, do you want to find the best place in town to buy groceries? I'll take you there. And then they would take the tourists to your grocery store, and they would say, wow, this is a great place to go buy groceries, and they buy groceries, and you give that kid a kickback.
Seems like you've hired a salesperson.
And then another kid comes along, and this kid stands outside your store, and when that other kid comes by, the second kid says, oh, thanks, I'll take them inside. And the second kid comes into your store and says, hey, I found this person to come stop at your store. You should give me a kickback instead of that other guy, even though that first guy did all the work.
Yes.
So, in one case,
It's completely absurd.
It's right. It's obviously the problem here is absurd.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the idea of charging people for the privilege of directing traffic is absurd.
Yes.
And I just think it's funny that when you look at these two takes on the same kind of transaction,
It's the two sides of the same coin. It's
yeah.
literally, it's seller in one and buyer in the other, and they're both wrong.
yeah.
It's like the whole coin. The whole coin needs to get scrapped out. You shouldn't be able to do either.
And when you take it out of technology terms and you put it into
The grocery
real
store.
world terms
Yep.
that make more sense to everyone, it's immediately obvious what's wrong in this situation, and it's immediately obvious what was wrong in that situation. And they're not related to each other at all, but they touch on such similar themes that I wanted to bring back that comparison
Yeah.
to talk about how the two compare. Because it's so funny that before, the sites were up in arms saying, oh, you're sending traffic to us, you owe us money. And now the people driving traffic to online stores that want the traffic are saying, someone else is taking credit for us driving this traffic, and we're missing out on money. It's wild.
It's wild. It's wild. It is wild.
At the end of the day, should end users uninstall Honey?
I uninstalled mine. And this is long before this came to light. It was I wasn't using it. My purchasing behaviors changed. I didn't find like the app gave, or the browser extension gave me, again, many years ago, it did provide me value. Now it was not doing anything. It was, should you uninstall Honey for this? If you want to support, if you want to be sure that you're supporting the content creators that you're following and making sure that they are actually being paid for the value that they're providing, I would recommend uninstalling it. And then at that point, you can watch the court case as it unfurls. You can make a better decision after all of it's done. And if it turns out this is all completely a wild goose chase, you can just as easily reinstall the browser extension very, very quickly. So you can do both. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can uninstall, you can reinstall, you can keep it, you can watch the court case. I would highly recommend you do it because this is going to be a very interesting one that affected many, many millions of people. I know that there's going to be quite a bit of hubbub about it in the content creator side of things because when those people have very large audiences and they're able to spread message very quickly. So should you uninstall? I would recommend yes, and then wait and see, and then reinstall it if you want to.
Now,
Who cares?
that's from the stance that you want to support online creators and you care about the ethics behind everything.
Yep.
If you're a total mercenary and you only care about your bottom line, there's a conversation around if Honey is not offering you the best discount codes, should you uninstall? And I think it depends on your browsing behavior. It depends on your online shopping behavior. Because if you're not typically going and hunting for your own discount codes and you're not using affiliate links through creators, well, even if the discounts that Honey offers you aren't the best discounts available, getting some discount on a variety of stores, and in some cases it very well might be the best discount available,
Could be.
is still going to be financially better for you than not having the app.
And that's the way.
Out on all of the discounts.
And that's the way I was using it in the beginning. I was not interested in hunting in a discount code. I downloaded an app browser extension that when I clicked it saved me 5%. That seems like a pretty big win in 2015. It was awesome. I didn't realize. If I had known, I try to be the most ethical person I can. If I knew that was taking money away from someone that I liked and that I wanted to contribute back to, that would be a difficult decision to never stop using it again, because I'd be like,
Yeah.
But your call.
Speaking of your calls,
Oh,
Apple clarifies Siri privacy stance after 95 million class action settlement. January 8th, Reuters. Apple opens new. I guess I should share a screen for this. Apple opens new tab clarified on Wednesday. Apple opens new tab clarified on Wednesday that it has never sold the data collected by its Siri voice assistant or used it to create marketing profiles, just days after settling a case in which it faced such accusations. The iPhone maker last week paid $95 million to settle a class action lawsuit in which plaintiffs alleged it routinely recorded their private conversations after they activated Siri unintentionally and disclosed these conversations to third parties such as advertisers. Voice assistants typically react when people use hot words such as "Hey Siri." The company denied those claims and did not admit to them in its settlement last week, in which tens of millions of Apple customers may receive up to $20 per Siri-enabled device, such as iPhones and Apple Watches. Apple has never used Siri data to build marketing profiles, never made it available for advertising, and never sold it to anyone for any purpose, Apple said on Wednesday. Apple issued the statement after social media users and commentators interpreted the settlement as confirmation that the allegations were true. In its statement, the Cupertino, California-based company said that certain features require real-time input from Apple servers, and it is only in such cases that Siri uses as little data as possible to deliver an accurate result. Apple does not retain audio recordings of Siri interactions unless users explicitly opt in to help improve Siri, and even then the recordings are used solely for that purpose. Apple said, adding that it will continue developing technologies to make Siri even more private. A similar lawsuit on behalf of users of Google, Google's Open New Tab voice assistant, is pending. I understand. The open new tabs are something copied over from the browser. That's wild. A similar lawsuit on behalf of users Google's new voice assistant, or Google's voice assistant, is pending in the San Jose, California federal court. The plaintiffs are represented by the same law firms as in the Apple case. This is from Reuters.
that is funny. I got a little tinfoil hat on this.
Okay.
I just believe your device is listening to you. And I've played with those experiments myself, and we don't have a child, but we'll talk about diapers, we'll talk about kids formula, we'll talk about kids toys, and what do you know what's happening in my ads the next day? I'm getting, Pampers ads and whatnot. Now that's not to say I'm not using Siri. I'm not using a voice assistant.
That's
a different thing.
Well, I think you and I are seeing this the exact same way.
That's a different thing.
What did Apple say in defense of themselves? Apple said Apple has never used Siri data to build
Siri
marketing profiles.
data.
That doesn't mean they're not using microphone data.
Yeah, that's Siri data. So, and it's very interesting. If they were in the right, they would have never paid $20 per device. They would have paid $0 per device.
I mean, if they felt that was cheaper than letting the lawsuit draw out, maybe.
Maybe. It's $100 million to Apple. That's $0. $100 million to Apple is $0 to Apple. They're sitting on billions in cash right now. They're one of the most cash-rich companies on the planet. $100 million is zero.
Yep.
But that's exactly. Our first question is, what does Apple's defense of Siri mean?
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. It is not using Siri data. It is using another data source.
Maybe. Right? We don't know that.
Tinfoil hat, maybe.
You can speculate that it's potentially using other data.
You can do it yourself. You put your phone on the table. You talk about a topic that actually has nothing to do with what you're interested in. We use the one around kids. We don't have any young kids. There was no reason for a company to ever advertise this for that. And suddenly the ads started showing. So fine.
Now,
do it yourself.
Let's play that out for a minute. Imagine that that's totally accurate. Imagine that Apple is using microphone data to build advertising profiles. What does that actually mean in terms of user privacy and your sensitive information? Probably not a whole lot, because when we imagine a company using recordings from your microphone to understand what you're all about, they're not having a human being sit and listen to those recordings.
You are not as important enough. You are not the president of the United States. You are not. You're not a government official. Unless you are, you're not a general of an army.
Because one of our questions is this a security concern for businesses?
If you are,
but in terms of how they're using that data, the way it most likely works from like a business and programming perspective is it's just looking for keywording, and then building advertising profiles based on those keywords, without really knowing how accurate the keywording is, and without ever having anyone specifically listen to those recordings.
Yeah. No one is sitting down and filtering Aaron's microphone data personally. But again, if you are a diplomat, and
you probably don't have to worry about those recordings leaking, because they don't even want to store those recordings.
Yeah,
That's a lot of data for them to stick on a server somewhere to get no value out of. If they can listen to you talk for a while and learn from keywording that, oh, you have young kids, you might want to shop for diapers, and they can use that to serve diaper ads to you, mission accomplished.
That's it.
They don't want to hang on to the recording past that, because that's just...
They're going to mix that data with your location services data, with some stuff around previous data that they've collected on your device, where you are, geographical information, some travel patterns, and they're going to say, hey, great, it's going to go into a bidding algorithm, and the people that are in your area are going to say, hey, there's another person that's had a kid, and there's another person you can sell diapers to. Great, and you're still... and this is all very, very speculative. I don't know how much identifiable stuff they keep on your specific device profile, but I'm assuming it's enough to create a very healthy advertising profile around you. But they're not going out there going, how do I get into your life and understand everything about you so I can manipulate you? Not really.
Different people see privacy in different ways.
Yes.
Right? Like, some people are just scared that their conversations are going to be living in a recording somewhere for other people to listen to and discover, and that would be bad. And for those people, I'd say you probably don't have to worry about it, because it doesn't make sense for these companies to store that data.
But
and other people might be concerned, and some people might find that having an advertising profile that indicates they might be interested in
diapers
is an invasion of privacy.
Right.
Personally, I'm not really bothered by that. I like my ads to be for things I want to buy. So I like companies to have good advertising profiles on them.
Yeah, because you are going to get advertised too. It can either be a relevant ad or an irrelevant ad, and I hate irrelevant ads.
Yeah.
Hate them.
So, from a privacy perspective, I mean, I think there is stuff there to be aware of, but it's nothing I would panic over. I could conceive of a scenario in which a company like Apple might want to retain those recordings.
Oh, I can think of a few.
The obvious one to me is training data for AI.
Training data for AI is a big one.
Right? Like a vast library of conversations.
Two-person conversations, three-people conversations, for like how the dynamic works. Like, there's a lot of data there to train a model.
But I suspect before anything like that happens, that would be updated in the end-user license agreement to reflect that they're going to use your data that way.
Yep.
And then that would probably hit the news.
Yeah, someone would read that 4,000-page updated terms of service, and it'll hit the news. And like most things, there'll be a very small minority of people that go, wow, this really matters. And there'll be everyone else that goes, I love the Apple product.
I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Hit agree.
Yeah.
We're back in it.
One of our conversation questions is, what about Android devices? I don't think there's much to say there other than,
it's the same.
Expect all the same things.
It's not
We're
Siri.
We're going to have the same thoughts we have on Android's version. Yeah. We'll see what happens with the lawsuit, but I wouldn't wouldn't put past Apple. I wouldn't put past Google either.
Google, like again, these are major players. These are not small fish. You've got Samsung, you've got Google, you've got LG. Like, you have Amazon. You have the biggest of the big. They all are doing this.
Anyone who's building voice assistants has a relatively similar type of company.
Yeah.
And I would treat all of them very similarly. Is this a security concern for businesses?
For 99% of businesses, no.
Yeah.
If you happen to be in like defense contracting or military or banking, maybe, or like big healthcare, maybe, but like you're going to have a team of people at that point that are going to guide you through that. So like the short answer is no.
And like if you're one of those businesses, I mean, you probably shouldn't have a smartphone anywhere near the work you do anyways,
Yeah.
unless
Be locked down.
powerful security solutions are in
BlackBerry
place.
still exists for a reason.
Yeah.
And they are just locked down devices, and that company's still chugging along perfectly well. If you're at that level of like business, we're not experts in the security field.
No.
I would be looking for someone else. You probably need someone internal monitoring that stuff all the time. And then Faraday cage.
Oh yeah.
You can, like, those are cheap.
Lots of
Go
ways.
buy
I mean,
one.
Again, we're not security experts.
Yeah.
So, like,
but very interesting to see, because like, again, there's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
There's like an arbitrarily low amount of money to hurt Apple's nothing, and $20 to anyone who had a. So yeah, if you want to get in on that, I think it's US only.
Yeah.
But if you want to get in on that,
I had an iPhone. I'm gonna look it up. See if I can get my
shout out, and then before we go on, shout out to Legal Eagle, because we both watch that programming quite a bit. That channel is awesome. If you haven't checked it out, go do it. It's like the legal side of everything. Really, really cool stuff. Very smart, healthy takes on stuff. I didn't realize the last little bit. I didn't realize his lawsuit company was. Oh, sorry. That's
You're
the legal.
jumping
Sorry,
back in our-
back.
So this is
actually
completely
wrong.
confusing to
This
anyone
is-
watching this clip.
Sorry, all the legal stuff. I didn't realize that Stone's Legal Team LLP was the name, but I believe Legal Eagle did a take on this as well, because he breaks down stuff like this. So
There's been a lot of speculation in this conversation,
yes,
and you just misrepresented
I did.
what we were talking about because you
Yes.
jumped back to the other topic. Well, speculating and misrepresenting things is going to be a lot easier on Facebook in the future
The segues, Aaron with the segues.
because Meta to end fact-checking program on Facebook and Instagram in the U.S. Meta is ending its fact-checking program in the U.S. and replacing it with a system similar to the community notes on Elon Musk-owned X, formerly Twitter. The Facebook parent said on Tuesday, the new model will allow users on Meta's social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, to call out posts that are potentially misleading and need more context, rather than placing the responsibility on independent fact-checking organizations and experts. A spokesperson for Meta confirmed to CBC News that the changes won't apply in Canada or anywhere else outside of the US for now. We are beginning with rolling out community notes in the US and will continue to improve it over the course of the year before expansion to other countries, the spokesperson said. Meta's Chief Global Affairs Officer, Joel Kaplan, wrote a blog post explaining the change. Experts, like everyone else, have their own biases and perspectives. This showed up in the choices some made about what to fact check and how, Kaplan wrote. A program intended to inform too often became a tool to censor. Kaplan added that its efforts over the years to manage content across its platforms have expanded to the point where we are making too many mistakes, frustrating our users, and too often getting in the way of the free expression we set out to enable. CEO Mark Zuckerberg acknowledged that the changes are in part sparked by political events, including Donald Trump's presidential election victory. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech, Zuckerberg said in an online video. The company said it would begin phasing in community notes in the United States over the next couple of months and would improve the model over the course of the year. We've seen this approach work on X, where they empower their community to decide when posts are potentially misleading and need more context, Kaplan said in the blog post. Meta will also stop demoting fact-checked content and use a label notifying users there is additional information related to the post, instead of the company's current method of displaying full-screen warnings that users have to click through before even viewing the post.
And that was from CBC.
Yeah.
So wild. One thing I will say is it's an uphill battle that Meta has, because just the amount of content that they need to monitor is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So I firmly agree with what the spokesperson said, just around they're making mistakes. Meta has never been bigger. It is, despite what you might think, it is got like record active users, record active content.
Fully agreeing with what the spokesperson said, it is a strong
Oh no, just with that one thing. It's just with that one thing, I should say, is it's difficult to manage that much content. It is insane. So like, because of, and I mean that might be hiring more people, better training, more tools. It's just, that's a huge challenge for content moderation. Not to say that it's not important, it's just a big challenge. So I'm glad that they're saying they're making mistakes, because they probably were. Fine, you can, whether or not the mistakes were real or not. It's just, I don't know how, I don't have the knowledge on how they would even start monitoring, 10,000 posts a minute?
Oh, it's a lot.
Like, it's a set, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about fact checkers versus community notes.
Sure.
I think there's pros and cons of both.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big cons to fact checkers is, as you mentioned, it's a lot of content.
It's a lot of content.
And so if you're leaving the moderation to a small team of people that are on payroll, that's a big job. Whereas if you leave it open to the community and everyone contributes a little bit.
That's a tough job. Just think about the person that has to do that job and what they have to read constantly and how they have to do that. That's not a fun job to have if you're constantly surrounded by things that are.
Yep.
So, like, not only is it hard, like, it's a difficult job on top of it being never relentless. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that job, to just read
No, I wouldn't want
hateful
that job
stuff
either.
online all the time. I would not want that job.
Now, where it gets tough, one of the things that Meta calls out, and Meta is of course going to highlight the good reasons for this change because they're making the change and they want
Yeah.
people to feel good about them.
Yeah.
One of the things they call out is the biases of the fact checkers.
Sure. They're people, but like
That's tough because, fact checkers can potentially have biases. At the same time, online communities can
also-
absolutely have biases. So I don't see a switch to community notes really
Yep.
solving that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a wash.
yeah,
That's the same in both places. So
and making matters even more complex. When someone has been hired specifically to be a fact checker, you hope that that person is holding themselves to a higher standard
I hope.
and being held to a higher standard by the organization that has hired them. And you can have people in place managing all of that. With community notes, we're relying on your average person to monitor the content. And I would like to think that we can trust a trained professional over the average person.
So completely agree with that. From Meta's point of view, if I now get to either reposition or let go I don't know how large their team was, but let's just say it was even a medium-sized team at their company, and introduce a tool that is now more community focused. My bottom line,
Oh yeah.
like from a money standpoint,
If I'm
I get to go wipe the board of that. They also get to Pontius Pilate this. They get to wash their hands and say, we don't have content. You don't look at us. It's not. We're
Well,
not.
and we've talked about this on stream
Right.
before. Every online platform wants to be able to say we're just a platform.
Correct.
We're not responsible for the content.
Not the editor.
If someone commits fraud, that's them. We are a public square. They just came here and they started speaking. It's not us. We got nothing to do with them. We're
So
just
like
a platform.
super. So I completely understand why they did this because of the liability standpoint. Like, I have no idea how much this just saves them in just in the courtroom, going like, it was not us. It's not a rogue employee. It's not a bad process. Nope, it's not us. Period.
If you're Meta, you have every reason in the world to want this change.
Yep.
The question is, what does it mean for businesses and consumers?
Let's
hard to
actually
say.
let's actually talk about this a little bit, because there are some downsides to Meta for this. Does this build the trust of the advertiser? Will my ad now be shown beside content that is not as vetted as thoroughly? Well, that only takes a little bit of time before advertiser one gets a screenshot of hateful content piece and then their ad right below it, and now there's association between these two things. Advertisers don't like that.
Yeah, but I imagine some of that's still going to be controlled programmatically. Because we're not necessarily talking about hateful content.
Not
We're talking about fact-check content.
There's yes. I mean, I'm assuming that you still can't go out there and do completely.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it does just open.
They're still going to do some work to determine where content is displayed in terms of relevancy.
It's just that the bigger players do care about where their brand makes it. So if there's less moderation, there is more variance.
But where are the advertisers going to go?
That is yeah, that's another one. They are the biggest. So where are they going to go? They're pretty pooched that way. They're gonna stay. They're gonna have questions. If I was on like the brand integrity team at, I don't know, pick a big company, it's something that you're gonna have to keep an eye on.
I wouldn't speak of these potential advertiser appeasement ramifications in the same breath as the bottom line cost savings and distancing from liability that Meta gets at.
Meta gets way more.
Right, this is so much better for Meta.
That's not even. Yes. But that's what it does mean for businesses. Businesses, you shouldn't. You just have to pay attention. But you should have been doing that anyways. Where's your? You should be able to see. So if you're advertising on Meta, you should be able to log in the back end. You should be able to see where your placements are actually displaying. Pay attention to that. Are your ad placements actually where they're supposed to be? Are they reaching the right audience? Those are things that you need to know, and you need to pay attention to that. And that'll probably change a little bit through this. But that is part of advertising. You need to be accountable to where your promotions land. So it's still on you at the end of the day. And you might need to make some tweaks. But like overall, it wouldn't be like I'm going to go exit Meta because the advertising platform. No, it's you just need to pay attention.
If your audience is there, keep advertising.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to the middle one. What does it mean U.S. only launch? What does that kind of make sense? But
so like the U.S., they're expecting U.S. law to make this make sense.
Yes.
Right. They're expecting not to be held accountable for not controlling the content in the U.S. That seems to read politically. I would argue that it will probably be a long time before this changes in the EU, if anything.
Mm-hmm. This is very typical of most how software is rolled out. They roll it out in one community, so the community happens to be the United States, and they do a bunch of testing, and then they'll roll it out globally, or they'll test it in one market and roll it out somewhere else. That's kind of par for the course.
The U.S. is a big market, so even if Meta gets to save a bunch of money in the U.S., good for them.
It's millions of dollars.
I think they'll roll out this change everywhere they think they can get away with it.
Yep. Yeah. I 100% agree with that.
Anything else to share on that topic?
Well, we'll see what there. Yeah. If I were you, there's you can find them very easily. You can see Mark Zuckerberg. They've got a very, very public video out there explaining all of this. You can go watch it yourself if you're running ads or you're thinking about running ads on Facebook or on Instagram. This is a 5-minute video. Watch it. Make your decision. You got to go to where your audience is. If your audience is on the platform and you want to sell something to them, that's the option you got. Of course, there are always other avenues. Meta just happens to be
a big one.
One of the biggest.
Yep.
So that's it. If you're a Canadian business, this doesn't have a whole lot of effect on you at all because
for now.
Yeah. And again, if this was to affect Canada, we would be putting it on the stream and saying, here's all the things. But if you're a Canadian business selling on or advertising through Meta right now, you'll probably notice nothing until they change it. So
this is advertising related. If you need advertising help, you have questions about your advertising, or need any other general media services, I would encourage you to book a free strategy call with one of our experts.
Yeah.
We'll take the time to get to know your business, develop a plan that makes sense for you, and answer your burning questions so that you can move forward with confidence and clarity. If that seems impactful, then make a strategy call. Then book a strategy call. And in the meantime, thanks for watching.
Take care.